Hi, everyone. It's Melanie Warner here, Defining Moments. I am so excited to be here today with Satie and Parveen. We have some really exciting news. First of all, I want to welcome both ladies here to our show. We're celebrating them. And if you've ever, any of you have ever been pregnant, ever had a baby, right? You know what happens? You get that little sonogram picture, you put it up there on the fridge, and you go and you go out on social media and you say, "Woohoo, I'm preggers," right? You display it to the whole world. Everybody celebrates, and what do? They have a baby shower where they buy your little cute little baby clothes and they celebrate this new life and they help you name it. Well, that's exactly what we've been going through with them, but they've been pregnant with a different kind of baby. It's a book baby. And today we are celebrating the launch and the birth of these little books. So I just want to say thank you for joining us and helping us celebrate. This is kind of like their baby shower. And Satie, welcome, Satie. And Satie has a giant smile on her face. Tell us what's going on with you right now. How are
Oh
you
my
feeling?
gosh. Hi, everybody. Well, guess what? I was in South America. I came back yesterday. I just got a text on my phone that there's a parcel for me. So I ran downstairs to get it. And look, I got this. And
So what is
these
it?
are my books, my
Yay!
books. I can't
That's so
believe it.
awesome.
Like actually seeing it and touching it. So I'm I don't know, I feel quiet and excited at all the same time. So my book arrived exactly this moment doing this interview. So I find that very exciting.
It's so beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. And I'm so happy for you. I know how much work you put into this. And it's just, has it been worth it? Like you think of all at this moment right now, holding this little book baby in your hands. How many years in the making has this been that you've been thinking about doing it? And now today we get to share this moment with you. That's so exciting.
Well, to be really honest, this has been in the making for over a decade, maybe close to 2 decades. Like the thought arose and just been pushed to the back of my mind until I virtually met you.
Yeah.
So it has been a long, long process and it's very meaningful to me personally. And so I can't explain what I'm feeling actually holding it. You're so right, Melanie, that when you actually hold the book in your hand, it's a different feeling.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that moment with us. This worked out so special. Like here we are celebrating your actual physical print book launch today, and you guys can actually order Sadie's book. So I want you to talk about that in just a second. I also want to introduce Parveen. Parveen is standing by here as well. And now Sadie, you're in Canada, and Parveen, where are you in the world today? Because you've been traveling all over the place, girl.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for this interview. Yes, so I'm based in the UK in Cheshire, and I'm so, so happy that I also have my copy in my
Yay!
hand.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love it. I love it. Luck. And you guys are both #1 best-selling authors, which is super exciting. Congratulations. And international best-selling authors because you sold them in multiple countries, which is even more exciting. And so I want to talk to you guys for a second. I want to talk about your books. Also want to talk about I want to start with Sadie. Before you came into work with Defining Moments, where did you feel stuck in this process? You said you've had this idea for like 2 decades. Where did you feel stuck the most?
Well, I didn't know how to start. Like, this idea came up to me after a defining moment where I was diagnosed with cancer. And literally it was during my wedding time. I was still a bride. And something I've said to people the way I've lived my life before, like always charitable as much as you can be. It doesn't have to mean giving money, but being kind, a smile, etc. And a person came up to me and said, you know what, you said something to me and I think you should write a book because you could motivate others. And I love what you said about your process going through cancer, like the way you looked at it. So the idea was planted there, but it was just at the back of my mind. Like I started, like I would make notes when I go away on my spiritual vacation, and they were just dumped on the computer until this defining moment, something good during COVID. I always wanted to go to Tony Robbins' event and thought, oh my God, that's like, 6, 7, 8,000 US dollars. And something came in the mail one day and said they have this live event and it's free and it's a challenge. And I joined it, and the rest was history. Then I got involved with Dean Graziosi. You were on stage one day, and you talked about your life and your defining moment, and how you know published your first book. And I just felt a lot of love towards you. And then I put it back in my mind again, and then I reached out to you on Messenger while you were in Israel, and you had a particular photo that you talked about, and I was very touched by that. It really drew me. And I wrote you again, and then you wrote me, and this was it.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, I think people also think about how do you take a book and turn it into a business? How do you turn it into speaking engagements? And what we love to teach people is how to take a book that gets you booked, right? Get you booked in the media, get you booked on stages, booked as an expert in your industry, maybe even an expert witness, right? You get paid to do these things. And then sometimes, you know, you do a TED talk or you speak on a stage and you might not get paid, but when you have a book and especially a business on the back end, it can be extremely lucrative. So Parveen, I'm going to throw that same question to you as well. How long has it been this thought of trying to get this book done, and where did you feel stuck before you finally got this one out of you?
I would say this book has been waiting for about 14 years to be birthed. So the idea was there about 14 years ago, and this was a different type of book I wanted to write, a different style. And the idea was there, but I didn't know how I could actually do it. So I suppose I parked it on some level as well, thinking one day it will happen, but when? And then, of course, we met earlier this year, and the whole idea of actually, like you said, you can do this, and this is the way to do it. And I just followed every step that you asked me to follow. And this style of book is there to sort of help people on a personal growth level. Because when I was struggling back over 20 years ago or 20 years ago, so I wanted something to help me, but I didn't know where to find it and how to go through the process itself. But once you've struggled in life yourself, trying to find answers to your growth, your struggles, and the impact of adversity and challenges and trials and tribulations of life that you've had, but you wanted that support, you didn't get it. And that's where I thought, one day I will write this book, but I didn't realize it was going to happen this year.
And you did it fairly quickly. Tell us about that. Like, how did you get this idea out of you and extract it and download it and get it written in literally like less than 2 months? I mean, it was just within a few weeks that you use it. You've had it on the shelf for all these years, and you just activated and downloaded, and boom, here it is. What was that journey like?
So that journey was like my story and how I went through trials and tribulations of life and how could I help other people. I'd already used the tools myself over nearly 2 decades, and I would say these tools would be valuable for somebody else because I know what worked for me. And there's so many different tools in this book. And I thought, if I can just share these tools with the world, how amazing would that be? There's got to be somebody else out there who's really challenged at this moment, somebody who's going through trauma, someone who's going through anxiety, someone who's going through stress, and they don't know where to turn. And with this book having the tools, what could it do for somebody else? And that was the idea. And of course, I followed everything that I could follow in a very short space of time. I dedicated day and night to this because that's how I felt I was going to get this book done. Because I knew if I could help that one more person out there, it could be a family member of my own, in fact, or a friend or a relative, but actually bigger than that in society, my job would be done if I can help somebody just to read this book and apply. I know it will be worth it.
I love it. I love it. And Sadie, when you were going through this training or like the support that you had with defining moments, what was the aha moment that made you shift? That made you say, "Okay, I can do this. I'm gonna do this." Like, was there a moment or was there something in it that just triggered where you're just like, "Okay, I'm gonna get this done"?
Yes, the aha moment was your training, the author package, and just the way it was one of your videos, just the way you just came on, like, I don't know, like maybe you were in the kitchen or something, and you're just talking, and I just felt that so relatable that you know what, that this actually can become a reality because I've had it maybe parked, as Parveen was saying, for all these years and the notes, but didn't know like how would it come together? And so that was an aha moment for me that, you know what, that it could, because I do want to share my story with the tools that I use to find love within. And I think that's, it's the most important thing when we find love within. And you,
I love
yeah,
that.
and it became a reality. That was my aha moment, one of your videos.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, and that's the thing when you're, producing videos, like I wrote books and then I helped other people learn how to write books. And then like we realize if we can help authors get on stages, they're going to sell more books, right? If we can help speakers get books, they're going to have another revenue stream because we even had somebody that said he was getting paid to speak, but then one of the event planners said, "Hey, I want to buy 1,000 copies of your book." And he's like, I don't have a book. And that was like $25,000. Like that's an order they would have done and their materials budget for the event. And he didn't have a book. So he came in and he worked with us for just a few months, got his book completely done, was able to fulfill this order as he's got other things booked. Like this guy is traveling all over the world as a speaker. And then he also realized he wasn't charging enough as a speaker, right? There's just so much information out there that people don't even have access to. And they're living in this bubble of their own world, especially after COVID. Everybody's kind of individual instead of learning to work together and collaborate. So, one of the biggest things that we love to teach is collaboration, right? Like, collaborate with people so you don't have to sell your books. Get on stages and speak one to many, and then you don't have to sell anything. Even if you have an offer, you have a business, you have something else that you want to promote, your book becomes a lead magnet. It becomes a speaker platform. It becomes a client conversion model. And Parveen, I want you to talk about this for a second because I look at, what you were sharing with me before we started the launch today and the interview, just a little bit about your background and what this book has done for you now that this one's out there. I mean, look at how much has changed in your life just in the last few months, like and how that's equating to business growth and like being able to charge more, get more clients, stuff like that. Tell us about that.
Yes, so thank you, Melanie. I would say last November, I started manifesting something that I wanted to do more this year. And as I was manifesting it, things were coming and flowing into my path. And I dare say, also the TV program, I would say the book, this particular book that needed to be written because it needed to get out into people's hands. And so I've done a lot of speaking engagements already. And just recently, actually, just yesterday, I had a lovely call with a gentleman who said, "Wow, you've written a book. We'd love to do more with you. There's possibilities, more possibilities of speaking in different spaces." And I said, "Of course, that would be fantastic. And who else could we help? There's so many people we could help, actually." And now that my book is actually being advertised for a physical launch in my town, I have so many businesses that will be coming to my event. And I've got people who are accountants, coaches, counselors, people in marketing that want to come and listen to the stories that I'm going to share with them, but also how to navigate their journey, their path, their life. So this is going to be really, really interesting. So already I know the interest is there because people are saying, can we collaborate on doing some charity work? Could we collaborate on something like this, helping veterans? And there's so much space here. And already, just by me advertising the launch, the physical launch, is bringing in interest for people who want to make a difference in the world too.
Oh, that's so awesome. Let's go. I'm so excited for you. And you've been traveling all over the world. I saw that you spoke in Paris at a women's conference. You got featured on a TV show. It's going to be in 250 million households. It's so exciting. So you're a guest expert on that show. So much has opened up since you got this book out of you. And at the same time, I remember meeting you and we were filming the TV show in New York, and you're like, I've never been to America. And you literally flew to New York to be on this TV show, like to film this TV show in New York City, was sitting there in Central Park having this amazing moment together. And it was just so special and such an honor to be there on that journey with you. I'm just really proud of you for getting out of your comfort zone and doing things that other people think are really hard. And,
Mhm.
it's like you had the courage to just break through all the blocks and get out of your own way and then just see what's waiting on the other side. Right? I saw something you posted. I want you to share that with our audience today. Like what it felt like when you recently had some award, and you went back to a school and spoke at a school. Tell us about that whole experience and what that felt like.
Yes, so I was invited by a professor to speak at King's College in Cambridge, and one of the most prestigious, oldest universities. And while I was there, I was very much invited on stage to present the Golden Rose as part of the inauguration ceremony, which was a blow-away moment for me. I was like, so I don't know what the word is. I was overwhelmed. You want me to do this?" She said, "Yes, please." So we did this and gave all the professors and dignitaries the Golden Rose. And then I was presented not with one award, I came away with 3 awards, which was mind-blowing. And the professor also asked me to write an article, research article for a university, and actually Harvard University, which I haven't done yet. And this is how things can snowball. But also, I've just received today that I've appeared in India News as Business Person Awards for International Public Figure.
Wow, that's awesome. Let's go. I'm so excited for you. And look, all of this comes from getting out of your comfort zone, you guys. It comes from taking action and do it now. Like we all have these ideas and we all think we have more time, right? We all think we have more time. And for me, my first book was born when I was sitting in the hospital on a table in the hospital, and the doctor was like, "You might not make it." And my first thought was, what about my book? Right? Of course, I thought, what about my husband? What about my kids? What about my life? What about my laundry? Like, I really thought that. And I was like, I have all this unfinished business and I can't die. And I thought about that quote that Miles Monroe talks about, like the greatest treasures are not in the gold mines of South Africa, or I mean, in the diamond mines of South Africa, or the gold mines in, the Wild West, or the museums. They're like the greatest treasures on earth are actually in a cemetery, because that is where the books that were never written, the songs that were never written, the businesses that were never started, the ideas that never came to fruition, all of these amazing things that could have happened didn't happen because people didn't take action, because we always think we have more time. And, my dad is 88 years young. He wrote his first book just a few years ago. Now he has 4 books. He's generating thousands of dollars a month in passive income from these books that he wrote for Bible study, right? He's been a Bible study teacher for 62 years. He's been an attorney for 60 years. He was a Little League baseball coach for 50 years. Our family has like 90 properties, all of us, so they could write a book about real estate and what not to do. And the thing is, he could have written a book about any of those things. But when you think about, what do you want to be known for, right? What do you want your legacy to be? That's when he said, I want it to be the Bible study. That's it, right? So it's like, it doesn't matter where you are, your age, your stage, your story. Everybody has an amazing story to share. And there's different ways that you can monetize that story. If you have a business, it's going to elevate you even further. It's going to give you this momentum. And people, I find that with momentum, they're trying to run up a hill, up a mountain, and there's these rocks in the way. And sometimes they create the rocks, and other times they need someone else to just blast them away so they can just run and get that momentum. And that's what's happened when you write a book and you become a best-selling author. I look at Satie, and your story just so inspires me. I mean, Satie was like a corporate, what do you call it? Like an IRS agent in Canada, right? Like she didn't have a very, I wouldn't say a fun job. I'm sure you enjoyed it because you did it for what, 20 something years? How long
Yeah.
were you doing that? Right? Like
25 years.
you had a tough job. You had to go after people and come down on them for like not paying their taxes. And I'm gonna imagine that would be a really hard, draining job, right? And then you're making this complete shift to being this beautiful energy, this soul that's coming out of just pure love. Like you get that opportunity to shift that quickly from that career to really serving people with love. And what's that transition been like for you? How's that
Oh
feel?
my gosh, I still can't believe that I've done it, because I actually just recently left my job. I mean, I could be working there for several more years. So people don't leave the job because it's a federal job and it's a good job and it's got all the bells and whistles. And yeah, as a corporate tax auditor for for corporations. And also I was vice president for the union in my local in Toronto, but on federal union. So it was a complete 180 shift. But again, the defining moment was when Tony Robbins' challenge landed in my lap, because these were just thoughts and manifestations. I have to back a little. In 2011, I was at a I call it my spiritual vacation in a remote area in Brazil. And I wrote 5 lines for my life. And I take it everywhere with me. The paper's all crumbled now. And one of those lines, it was very ludicrous, because I wrote, it was June something 10th, 2011. And I said, I'm going to write a best-selling book, overnight bestseller, or something about overnight, becoming a bestseller overnight, and writing this book. And my voice, like, that's going to be the impact. But the ludicrous part was, where did I could say write the book, but why did I put overnight bestseller? That was ludicrous. When this book was launched, it was July 30th, and life was happening behind the scenes for me in all different directions. I didn't put much attention, but I thank you all for supporting me, because I looked on July 31st and I saw in a category, it said #1 release. I looked back to the 5 lines and I was just blown away, because I couldn't tell anybody about that, because that was a ludicrous thing. So this 180, leaving my job, no one believed that I would do that. So I kept it quiet. And now it's going to be public that I have left it, because I know that I'm meant for more, bigger than me. And life has happened for me and not to me. And I know that my voice will make an impact to others through the journey, but sharing how I came to this amazing thing. We were always there, was born with it. It's our right, but we forgot about it. And it's all about love. And we have to access the love within first, so we can share it with others. And of course, if I knew this as my 30-year-old self, where would I be today? So I wouldn't want others to go through what I did,
Oh, I love it. And think about both of you. What if you had said no to yourself? Like, think about the people that you've already impacted with this book. If you hadn't finished, if you hadn't done it, because 80% of people out there talk about writing a book and only 1% actually do. And even the ones that do, even fewer actually hit bestseller, much less international bestseller. So, Parveen, how does that feel to have such conviction? How has that boosted your confidence in getting on stages and believing in what's possible for you? Like, how has that led to you growing, like working higher instead of harder, I like to say?
I think definitely once you realize your worth, I think a lot of it comes down to your worth, your self-worth, and what you can give to the world when you understand you've been through a difficult, challenging journey, and you can't, well, you not can't, you don't want other people to be going through such a traumatic journey. So what you want to do is make it simpler and easier for everybody else who's treading the path to have a easier path as possible. And there will be some challenges still along the way, but what we want to do as authors and experts in our field is to help other people to have an easier journey. And yeah, there's a lot of aha moments, I think, over my life that I can reflect back to, even when I was writing the book. Wow, wow, wow. And it's been kept there. But also, the tool book is what it's about to show people, listen, if you've been through this, let's support you to get you through to this space right now. So I think the journey has been quite amazing. I'm going to go back to thinking about how much I struggled back 20 years ago, and where I didn't get the help and I didn't know where to go, where to turn to. And the impact that we're going to make as leaders and experts in our field is to transform people's lives, to help them to live a better, healthier, understandable life, rather than struggling, thinking, oh my God, I'm pulling my hair out. What do I do now? Where do I go now? Who's going to help me? And I think this is the journey where we want to progress towards and help other people to understand you are not alone on this path, on this journey. And like Sadie has also said, she went through cancer, all the difficulties of that. Now, what can she do to help other people when they read her book? people are going to resonate with her story. People understand where she went from there to there and how she's transformed herself and to where she is right now, leaving her corporate world, mainstream job to doing what she loves and her feels in her heart and what she wants to do next. So this is amazing that we can all help people in our different industries as well to progress. And the world needs this more than ever, I believe.
Mm.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and I think too, there's a whole shift that's happened after COVID, right? We call it BC before COVID and ADs after death. Like it was like this reset for the whole world that is this new normal for people. And what does that mean? And how is that defined? And there are people that even feel guilty for having success or having a good life because there's other people suffering and struggling in the world. And I remember Tony Robbins saying to me at one point, he said, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to be a coach or a mentor? Like, why do you want to help other people? And I was like, because I don't like to see people suffer. And I remember him saying, well, how selfish of you that you picked a profession that you can only succeed if other people are struggling. And it made me laugh because I thought that is so true, right? Like you can't, the more that people are struggling, the more there's opportunity to become a coach or a mentor or a consultant because you're helping somebody get through something that they don't know how to do. And I think it's selfish if you don't help people. If you have an answer and there are people that are literally dying of thirst in the desert and you have water and you're not giving them water because of your own fear or doubt or like making it about you, I feel like that's a huge disservice to humanity because we all have more of a moral, not even obligation is the right word, but just a moral responsibility to humanity. If we have a solution, we're real people solving real problems, right? Most of the problems that are being solved in the world are not coming from the government. The government isn't solving the problem. It's private sector, it's entrepreneurs, it's innovators, it's creative people that are coming up with solutions and then sharing them with the world. And when you provide those kind of opportunities for people, it's amazing what you can do for your own income and your own impact. So when you write a nonfiction book, like what we're talking about here with both of these ladies, it opens up so many doors. And the book is just the beginning. It just becomes a part of the journey. So
Mm.
Satie, I'm curious, do you have any tips for people who are thinking about writing a book or getting on stages or being a coach? Like what advice would you give to people?
Well, it's like what happened with me. Like I had all these things all over the place that I want to write a book, and it's been parked there for so many years. But that was like, that's my dream because I know that I'm meant for more. That's why the things that happened in life happened for me. And but I didn't know how are we going to do this? And it was your package. Like we need something that's defined and for me and structured. So you need guidance. So you need a coach of some kind and all the little pieces that go into it that, yes, like for myself, like I wrote the book and this is what I dreamt about for years. It's already edited, it's formatted, it's done. And then there were still pieces that weren't happening. And so I needed that mentorship. So that would be my advice to others. Like if you're really good at teaching yourself all these things and you have the world of time, then sure. But if you want to get it done and you want to have it, you need a mentor and in some form of like what I did with your package, with your author training
So
and
just do
guidance
it.
and
Just do
just
it.
do it. And
I
just do
love
it. As Parveen said, it's a lot of work behind the scenes, like and it's a trials and tribulations that's going on and life's happening. But once you're determined and you know that you have to, and once I had that aha moment that yes, I can and I believe. You see, once you believe it, then you see it.
once you believe it, you achieve it. Amen. Ooh, I love it. I'm getting
Yeah,
chills.
yeah.
So, all right, guys, drop some fire emojis in the chat here. I'm so excited. In fact, I love it. Like being shy is selfish, right? And not shifting the mindset challenge. Being able to understand that like there are people out there hoping and praying for a solution. And sometimes it's something that only you can provide. And so it's like we need to take time to kind of overcome these false beliefs of what's possible and what we can do. Parveen, did you have any hesitancy when you started doing this process, and especially when you started charging for coaching or charging clients? Were you nervous? Maybe there's other people watching that could think like, oh, I could never do that, or I couldn't write a book, or I couldn't charge for my services or my time. Like, what advice would you give to them?
Yes, so I've been in the sector for about 19, 20 years now. So I've always charged for my service. And I think there comes a time, it comes back to self-worth. What are you worth? What are you providing a service for? And what are you doing for the people, or your clients? And I always talk about this quite openly, even with my students who are my clients, and my clients are my students, whichever way you look at this. But we're all in this together. And when I teach about value and your self-worth, they start to understand. And the more expertise you do have, and the more, or the amount of years, maybe even also you've worked in that field of work, your expertise and your self-worth must be up here, not here. So your value does go higher, and everything that you're doing to support the other people is saving them time to get to the end result. So you might as well get the coach, the expert, to help you at the beginning to get you to where you want to get to. And that's why we must not be shy or fearful of charging the fees that we are worth. So for me, of course, there's always going to be this trajectory. I feel there is already this year. A lot of people have
Mhm.
seen me go like this. And this is the space I'm still going to continue to go towards, because this is my journey, my path, and everything that I want to give to the work that I do. So value is very important, looking at what you're worth, what service you're providing, and charge what you feel you have the expertise in.
Absolutely. That's very good advice. And again, it's not like you charge what you think you personally are worth. It's right. It's right. It's more like what solution are you giving them? What's it worth to them? Like in other words, we tend to tie what we charge to our own self-worth, like you said. And when you're presenting an offer or a solution to somebody, you never present it as, hey, I'm the solution, right? You can have conviction when you're selling your system because that gets them the result. And it's also why we don't feel personal rejection because we're not tied to it. It's like asking if somebody wants water. If they're thirsty, they'll drink. If no, it's okay, like no pressure. And if you've ever gone to like a restaurant, right? How many have ever gone to a restaurant and the waiter asks if you want water? And you say, no, I don't want to refill. They don't go back in the kitchen in the back and jump in the big walk-in and get all fetal position in the corner and start crying hysterically because you said no, you don't want any more water. You know what I mean? And yet we tend to personalize things, we tend to internalize things. And I found that when we focus on ourselves, that keeps us stuck. When we focus on how we feel about something, if it's fear, if it's doubt, it's we're fear of rejection. That's what gets us stuck. We stop because we're focused on us, and that leads to more fear, doubts, depression, anxiety. But when we take that off of us and we put the spotlight on the people we're helping, we think about the reader and the solution they're desperately waiting for. When we think about the people that we're helping in our coaching programs, the people that we're speaking to on a stage when we speak one to many, and we can apply all of these things together, that tends to help us move forward. Right. And I remember I have a mentor, Mark Victor Hansen, who did all the Chicken Soup for the Soul books. And he said to me once when I was writing my first book and I was procrastinating forever. I mean, it took forever. And I even had a major book deal. And he was like, Melanie, stop thinking of the people you're going to help and start thinking of the people you're going to hurt if you don't finish your book. The next day, a woman in my hometown stepped in front of a train and took her own life because her son had passed away 15 years prior. This poor woman's soul had been suffering for so long, and I knew I had solutions, right? I had gone through losing my son. I knew the depths of how that despair felt, and I knew how hopeless it felt. But I also knew that there were resources, there was support, and it helped to talk to other parents. So my book became more urgent. And the only thing that shifted then was my urgency. It wasn't like, oh, I need to finish this book for me. I realized I needed to finish it for them. And after that, all of a sudden it became urgent and I finished my book within a few weeks. And it had taken me years, even with a major publisher, to focus on my own fears and doubts. And I had to get out of my own way. And some of you, maybe that's resonating with you today. Maybe that's you and you're stuck. We want to be able to offer you that support. I want you to be able to give birth to these little book babies. And I'm telling you, to be pregnant for 14 years, 20 years, 30 years, it's painful, right? You know, you've got this thing in you, and it doesn't have to be like The Exorcist, coming out in a really painful way. You can learn from joy. It doesn't have to just be from pain. And other people can learn from joy and learn from your mistakes, which is why I believe in mentorship. So the reason that I created Defining Moments is it came from my own personal life falling apart. And now it was like, okay, we've created this amazing personal, professional development company where you can come in and you can get a book, you can take a course, you can hire a mentor and have somebody that you work with who will walk you through step by step how to solve something for you. Whether you have a relationship crisis, a health crisis, a financial crisis, a career crisis, you can be going through a midlife crisis and you can choose to shift instantly like that and say, nope, I want to build a midlife castle, right? That is what's possible for you if you get out of your own way, and don't do it alone. There's a scientific study out there that has shown that even with death on the line, people have such a hard time making a shift and a change. I love to say the only people who like change is a baby with a dirty diaper, right? Ew, right? So it's like, we don't want to have to sit in our own stuff to realize we need change. And so the survey showed that even with death on the line, and a doctor saying, if you don't make this change in your life, you're going to die, only 1 out of 10 people have the willpower to make the change. But yet, when you take that same person and you plug them into a group where they have accountability, they have a mentor, they have a strategy, they have steps, and they have support, it's 70%, 7 out of 10 people can survive and make that change. So it doesn't have to be this drastic life or death scenario, but some of us, it feels that way when we're stuck in it. And the only thing that has to change is our mindset and our perspective to shift. So I hope today has helped you guys see what's possible, right? If you have these ideas, and here's the beauty of ideas. And it's my favorite book is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And this was written over 100 years ago. And one of my favorite quotes from that book, again, books change lives. They save lives. They influence people. They build your expertise and credibility instantly. Think about it when you say this person's the expert on XYZ. Why? Because they wrote the book on it. And in that book, over 100 years ago, his research of 30 years to write it, he said something so profound. He said, more gold has been mined from the thoughts of man than has ever been taken from the earth. This is about getting paid for your ideas, for your influence, for your impact. And that creates more income than you can ever imagine. And so when you combine writing a book, getting on stages and speaking one to many and presenting your offer as like a solution to help people, you will be amazed at how profitable and how quickly you can monetize your own existing knowledge without any new skills at all. So I want to invite you guys to come work with us. If you have questions, I want you to fill out an application. The link is below. You can go to our website at mydefiningmoments.com/application. Fill out an application, let us know a little bit more about you, and we'd love to hop on a call with someone on our team who's an expert in this, and they're going to map out exactly where you are. We're going to meet you where you are. We're going to hear your idea and your vision of where you want your life and your business and your book to go, and we're going to map out exactly what you need to do, just like we did for these two ladies. And real quick, before we go, I want to be able to give you guys a chance to tell us a little bit more. Satie, tell us a little bit more about your book, how you serve people, and how we can get in touch with you.
Well, my book is called The Crooked Path is Perfect. And it's very meaningful because it's your path and all the trials and tribulations in life and the crookedness. It's perfect. And what it's all about, it's just personal stories because that's how I can relate. And through relation, my goal is pulling on the heartstrings of others because I really feel the most important thing that we can do for ourselves is accessing via the tools that I use or your own tools, but maybe something that I did would resonate with you, for a journey in within, because the power all lies within. It has always been there. It's our inherent right, but for some reason we forget about it as time goes by. And so in this book, I share the tools that I have I have used within to fall in love with me, with I. And that is what gave me the strength to cope with a cancer diagnosis years later, because if I didn't have that strength within, I would not have survived. And of course, what I know now, had I known my 20-year-old version or 30-year-old version, I would not have been sitting in those dark thoughts, because thoughts have impacts, and your cells, it impacts our cells in the long run. So
Absolutely. Those negative thoughts can manifest in our body. It can be held into the
exactly.
tissue, and, you know, our it can manifest in a lot of different ways with our health as well.
And
Um,
that's what happened with myself. That's what happened with myself. It was because I was just sunk in these dark thoughts for such
mhm.
a long period of time, and they were just sad. And so to get in touch, like I hope, like please support me and get in touch, because I really feel that my life's journey is my voice, and that's how I can impact others.
So how can people get in touch with you if they want to work with you as a coach? You know, what and what's and your book, obviously we have the links below for the book, and there's special pricing. So if you're watching the replay back during this launch only, it's a special price. The books are half price. So you can actually buy multiple copies. I love giving books as a gift. So if you resonate with these ladies and you hear something about them that you go, oh my gosh, my friend needs this, my husband needs this, my best friend, my wife needs this, or whatever, you're listening to this and you're like, I know someone who could really use a pick me up and and some hope in their life. I like to say we have enough dope dealers in the world. You ladies are hope dealers. So these books are like little angels you can give out to people. So take advantage of this opportunity, not only to support them in their book baby shower today, but also buying multiple copies to give to other people as a gift. And any other special gift that you have, Satie, or anything you want to share with them as well, and also how to get in touch with you.
Yes, I do have a gift, because my book has a link to 10 tips. 10 tips that you can access, and it's on YouTube. So when they purchase the book, the link is in the book and it takes you to that portion. And they're just 10 short videos on tips that accessing that I did to journey within, and I talked about them, and they're lively, and they're actually, I like listening to them myself over and over. And it's Satie, S-A-T with a T-I-E, and my last name is Narain, Narain dash Simon. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and on Gmail, it's Satie Simon at gmail.com. And I would just love to hear from you, because I'd love to share. I feel that's what I'm born to do. That's what I have to give to the world. And even if it's one person, it makes a total difference for myself and to yourself.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Satie. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you so much. And congratulations. Thank you for sharing this special moment of holding your brand new little book baby and letting us share that thrill and that joy with you. We're so proud of you and excited.
Thank you,
Congratulations.
Melanie. And I
And
have
best
one
of
more
luck.
little thing to say. I'm
Yes.
sorry to interrupt. Today is my husband's birthday, so he doesn't know
Oh,
that I
happy
got the
birthday,
book.
Colin. Oh,
Yes, so I'm gonna give him this as a birthday present, because I'll sign it.
oh, that's perfect. I love it. Well, that again, talk about manifestation and the perfect timing for everything. This is amazing. And I love how you did that. You orchestrated that. So
Yeah.
you manifested that, girl. Good job. Well, happy birthday to Colin as well. Send him my
Thank
love and give him a
you.
big hug from me.
Thank you.
And I know that's a big celebration because he's had some health stuff too. So I'm glad are able to be there for him. Um, okay, Parveen, real quick, and as we're wrapping up, tell us a little bit more about your book, how people can work with you, where to follow you, connect with you, all of that good stuff. And if you also have a gift you want to share today.
Yes, thank you, Melanie. So, the Transformative Path has the 7 steps to personal growth and empowerment. So, as you read each chapter, there'll be something in the book to support your journey. And the free gift that there is about the emotional check in with you, but there's also a video that you can watch that can help you to reinvent yourself. Now, how people can get in contact with me is I'm on LinkedIn, Parveen Smith, also on Instagram, Facebook, and to get my contact details, parveen.angels@yahoo.co.uk. And thank you so much. It's been an absolute privilege to be here to share that both of us as authors, we are so happy with the journey of the book writing we've done so far.
Well, thank you both so much for being here. And thank you all for supporting these authors. And like I said, their little book babies, celebrating them. Please feel free to share their books. Like I said, get a few extra copies, take advantage of that special price, especially if you own a business and you want to get copies for people in your organization. This is the least expensive way to buy multiple copies of their book because they are not going to ever be that price again. They're more than half off what they normally would be. So take advantage of that today. If you want more information about how to work with me or Defining Moments or our team, please fill out the link below for our application, and we'd love to chat with you and find out more about your vision. Again, congratulations, ladies. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you,
And
Madeline.
we'll see you all next time. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.